In this episode of Bake Across Europe, we're traveling to Scotland to make Cranachan, a Scottish layered raspberry dessert made with whipped cream, toasted oats, fresh raspberries, whiskey, and heather honey. It is a perfect no-bake dessert for those summer months when raspberries are in season and you just don't want to turn on the oven. However, it is also an integral part of the Scottish Burns Night Supper, which takes place on January 25th, where Scots celebrate the life and works of Scottish poet Robert Burns. Join me today as I share with you the recipe, history, and traditions associated with Cranachan, and stick with me to the end of the video where I share with you a Scottish poem by Robert Burns about whiskey. Let's get started. To start, we're going to take 2 cups of fresh raspberries and 4 teaspoons of sugar, and we're going to pass those raspberries through a fine mesh sieve. And you're going to take something, I used a sauerkraut pounder actually, and you're going to press them and push them through the sieve in order to get rid of the seeds, and you'll just have a raspberry juice remaining at the bottom. Then you're going to take the raspberry juice and mix it with the 4 teaspoons of sugar in a small saucepan on the stove. You can add more or less sugar according to taste, and you're going to just warm that up gently, whisk it until all the sugar is dissolved, and then pour it back into a bowl and let it cool down to room temperature. The origins of this dessert are quite humble. It's thought that this first started out as a breakfast dish made from crowdie, a traditional Scottish fresh cheese, and it was mixed with oats. Different seasonal fruits were often added in, including raspberries. Over the years, it evolved into a dessert, and honey, raspberries, and whiskey became staple ingredients. In some parts of Scotland, this dessert is still called cream crowdie. Now I'm adding 1 cup or 100 grams of rolled oats to a skillet to toast them over medium heat. I toasted mine in 2 batches because that's what would fit in the pan. You could do this in the oven at 350 or 180 Celsius for 10 minutes, but who wants to turn the oven on in the summer? Now beat 2 cups or 475 milliliters of heavy cream until soft peaks form. Then add in 2 tablespoons of honey. It's traditional to add heather honey, which I will link in the description box below, but if you don't have access to that, you can use any honey you have available. Next, add in your Scotch whiskey. The amount is simply up to your preference. I added 1 tablespoon. As I mentioned before, this dessert is often part of the Burns Night celebration. The meal usually starts with a cockaliki soup, followed by the main meal of haggis, neeps, and tatties, local terms for turnips and potatoes. Now take your whipped cream and mix it with half of your toasted oats. Then you're going to set up an assembling station with all of your ingredients, your raspberries, whipped cream, raspberry sauce, toasted oats, and some extra heather honey. Then you'll need some glasses to put it in. I'm using a glass coffee mug and a whiskey tumbler. The formula for Cranachan goes whipped cream, oats, raspberries, raspberry sauce, a drizzle of honey, and repeat all over again until your glass is full. Now I'm going to share with you a Robert Burns poem called John Barleycorn Must Die, which is a personification of barley becoming beer and whiskey.
There were 3 kings into the east, 3 kings both great and high, and they had sworn a solemn oath John Barleycorn should die. They took a plough and ploughed him down, put clods upon his head, and they had sworn a solemn oath John Barleycorn was dead. But the cheerful spring came kindly on, and showers began to fall. John Barleycorn got up again, and sore surprised them all. The sultry suns of summer came, and he grew thick and strong, his head well armed with pointed spears, that no one should him wrong. The sober autumn entered mild, when he grew wan and pale. His beating joints and drooping head showed he began to fail. His colour sickened more and more, he faded into age, and then his enemies began to show their deadly rage. They've ta'en a weapon long and sharp, and cut him by the knee, then tied him fast upon a cart like a rogue for forgery. They laid him down upon his back, and cudgelled him full sore. They hung him up before the storm, and turned him o'er and o'er. They filled up a darksome pit with water to the brim. They heaved in John Barleycorn, and let him sink or swim. They laid him out upon the floor, to work him further woe, and still as signs of life appeared, they tossed him to and fro. They wasted o'er a scorching flame the marrow of his bones, but a miller used him worst of all, he crushed him 'tween the stones. And they had taken his very heart's blood, and drank it round and round, and still the more and more they drank, their joy did more abound. John Barleycorn was a hero bold, of noble enterprise, for if you do but taste his blood, 'twill make your courage rise. 'Twill make a man forget his woe, 'twill heighten all his joy, 'twill make the widow's heart to sing, though the tear were in her eye. Then let us toast John Barleycorn, each man a glass in hand, and may his great posterity ne'er fail in old Scotland.
Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. Let me know if you give it a try. And if you like poetry, try delving a little bit more into Robert Burns's poems. His poetry contains a bit of humor as well as depictions of everyday Scottish life. As always, let me know if there are any recipes that you'd like to see me make in a future video. And follow me over on social media. Every day on Twitter and Facebook, I share interesting tidbits on European baking history. And if you'd like some more summer recipes, try my French lemon tart recipe or my Swedish strawberry cake. And I'll see you next time.